Hey everyone, this is Megha and I'm a watercolor artist based in Bangalore, India. And in today's YouTube tutorial, we are going to paint 6 different types of watercolor clouds. And this class is for absolute beginners who have just started with watercolor. So if you are a pro, then you might find this really simple and easy because I'm just going into the basics. We'll be using our blues, this number 10 round brush, and we'll be just painting around 6 different styles, or I'll be telling you about 6 different techniques that you can use to paint clouds. I'm just using masking tape so that I can divide the paper into. You can also use 6 different papers if you want, and this is 100% cotton 300 GSM paper. So we'll be starting one by one. We'll be using wet on wet, wet on dry, and I've also done a blog post in it. If you like to read, then you can check it out. You can find the link in the description. So these are really very basic and very simple and fun. So let's start with our first one. And don't forget forget your 2 jars of water and some tissue, as we will be needing this in the class. So I'm starting with a clean layer of water for our technique 1. Make sure that the water is evenly spread. Don't leave the paper either too dry or with lot of puddles. Please don't do that. And then you can pick up your favorite blue and just start dropping the color just like that. We are going to fill the whole space. You can be it doesn't matter if your color is coming very even or not, because anyways we are going to put clouds in this. But if you are very particular about it, then you can go for a very nice clean and flat wash. But since this is beginner tutorial, I'm not going to go for perfection at all here. I'm just placing the blue color like this, and then you take a tissue and you crumple it tightly like this, and you just dab it up on the paper and pick up the color to reveal your clouds. So this is really pretty. You can also refer to some image and see how the clouds are and follow that. Here I'm just randomly doing till I feel that it looks good. Make sure to turn the tissue if it is already soaked with color. So that's about our technique 1. Now let's start with our technique number 2. This is also really simple. So will be starting with our brush, taking up some water and applying a clear layer of water first. So this technique is basically leaving white space. So this is also wet on wet, as our first one was also wet on wet. This is also wet on wet, but in this one we will be leaving white space beforehand to make the clouds. So I'm just painting blue wherever I want the blue, and wherever I want the clouds, I'll just leave the white paper. So if you want smaller clouds, then you can paint, you can leave small white spaces. If you want bigger clouds, then you can leave big white spaces. As again, you can look at some reference images and then draw it according to that. You can figure out how fluffy you want, how straight or streaks, whatever you want. According to that, you can just leave white space and fill the rest of it with blue. That's about it. So simple about this technique number 2. Okay, so let's start with our third one now. This one is a little different from the first two, and this is wet on dry. That means we are not wetting the paper beforehand with clean layer or any layer, and we are directly taking paint on the brush and starting. So this technique basically means you can just imagine what kind of shape you want to leave. If you want, you can also go ahead and draw it with pencil, and then rest of it you just fill up with blue. You can do whatever shapes you want, small, rounder, streaks, whatever you want. The only technique is to leave white space without doing any water wash first. So this will be really clean and with very, very smooth edges, these kind of clouds. And then the rest of the part you can just go ahead and fill up with the blue color. So that's about it with this technique. So as I said before, there will be lot of mixing and matching. So again, I'm doing wet on wet. So wetting the paper with some clean layer of water, and then I'm going to use 3 or 4 different blues. So the technique is same, where I will be leaving white spaces for the cloud beforehand, and this is wet on wet. So the a little bit of blue will go in and merge with the white. That is okay. It will still give you the effect. So the only difference in this technique is we'll be using 2 to 3 shades of blue, maybe a little bit of gray also, just to create a little bit of drama, just to create a little bit of depth and to show that. So the basic of this technique is that we are using shades of blue for this one. That is how it is different, and a few of the techniques are overlapping with what we did before. So just like this. I'm just going to add a little bit of gray just for shadows. If you want, you can skip it and leave it here, whatever you prefer. Okay, so this one is again wet on wet. So clean layer of water first, and then instead of using blue, I'm going to use orange, yellow, and red. So you can make sunset skies with this very, very beautifully. You can use the colors you want. You can use a reference image and see what all colors you see, and then paint according to that. So I'm just picking up some randomly yellow and orange. And remember, this is very, very basic tutorial. So I'm not going to do it very realistic, just dropping in some orange and then top it with some yellow, maybe a little bit of crimson or a purple. So just like this, lot of colors. So just using colors for this one, And then the remaining white space you can either color with a deep blue, a light blue, or even yellow. You can just refer to to an image, and then you can do it like that. So this is just different technique, and you can see, because it is wet on wet, how the clouds are becoming soft at the edges and just mixing in with the black with the background and just blending in. The next one is again going to be a wet on wet. So I'll be starting with a clean layer of water first. And then we'll be doing streaks of blue to make or paint different kinds of clouds. So I'm just using the side of my brush or the belly of my brush, and with a side stroke I'm applying the blue and leaving white in thin strips, as you can see, not like very symmetrical strips, but like this. And I'm also leaving some white space beforehand, and later on we'll also be lifting up the color and revealing white space from beneath to make our clouds. So once you are done with that, you wash your brush nicely, take a tissue, and then you start lifting the color like this. Wash your brush again, lift the color, and wipe the brush in the tissue, wash it if needed. So like this we are going to repeat this till we get the nice white paper from beneath and we get the desired look of the clouds that we want. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed painting all these clouds with me. As I said, these are for absolute beginners who are just exploring watercolors and just trying to get the hang of it. So do give it a try if you're an absolute beginner and let me know how it went. Also, you can read the blog post of the same if you are more of a reader, and if you want to follow step by step instructions, then you can hop on to my blog. The link is in the description. And if you are interested in learning more about my watercolor journey and how watercolor has changed my life, then go and give a listen to my podcast about how watercolors have influenced my life. The link is in the bio. If you like this video, then don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next Friday. Thank you.